Okay, the basics of a caricature step by step. So the very first thing I do is look at this person's head, and I see that it is much taller than it is wide. And so that's what I'm going to exaggerate. In fact, his head is so much taller than it is wide. It's going to be hard to exaggerate it because he's almost already a caricature. So this is my shape. And you see how that shape is much taller than it is wide. The problem is I'm not sure if this is exaggerated or not. To make it wider and keep it in the spot, I may have to make it a little skinnier. The next thing I'm looking at is the T shape. And the T shape is made up of his eyes and his nose. So, and there's some angles considered with that, okay? So, I'm comparing the nose where it is. So his eyes are about the middle of the shape. I was wondering, is it high? Is it low? I know it's about the middle. And then these are the shapes. His eyes are angled like that. His nose is short compared to his head. His nostrils make it wide. So this is the T shape. That's all the sketching I'm going to do. I'm still going to go through this step by step, but now let me break out my ink marker and add step 2B. Step 1, the head shape. Step 2, the T shape. Step 2B, or not 2B, is the line work. See, my lines are thin on the beginning. They're thick there because I see some shadow there in the photo. And I'm just going to go through and draw his eyes and the T shape. And the only exaggeration I've done is squash it down and make it a little bit shorter. But I'm also keeping in mind the angles. Okay, and you might be asking yourself, okay, where do I draw the thin lines and where do I draw the thick lines? Well, the photo or the person sitting in front of me is showing me where the thin and thick lines ought to be. Look, that's a shadowy line. In shadow, and there's eyelashes there, so draw that thick. This line is a wrinkle line, and so I'm drawing that thin. And when I say thin, man, I try to draw it like a razor's edge, so thin that it almost disappears. That's what I'm talking about when I say thin, or at least that's what I'm going for. And then you have the thick, bold lines, like this is in parts in shadow, so it's going to be thick. And all the lines are kind of tapered, where on the ends they become thin, in the middle they're thick, and then on the other end they can become thin again. Okay, step 3. I'm looking at the mouth. And the way to look at it is to first compare it to the chin. I see he has a big upper lip. In other words, the space up here is big, but the mouth is closer to the nose than it is to the bottom of the chin. But with this head shape, I think I can get both. I can get the long upper lip and still have the much longer chin. So let's go for it. Now I've got to get the chin in there. And because he has a very light and white colored beard, I'm going to show you a little trick. Let's see if it doesn't always work, but it's a sort of little trick to show that is a light colored thin beard. And that is, instead of drawing a solid line, I break it up and just use the hairs to outline the chin. Okay, now I've only penciled in the head shape, but now I am going to draw it in. I didn't want to draw it in before with the ink, and that is because in case I made a mistake on this part, I can always change this part, make it bigger. But once you ink it in, it's locked in and you can't make any mistakes when you're drawing the inside. That's why I pencil the outside first, then ink starting from the inside. So for me, we've already stretched the head shape out, so the next thing I do is the bottom half of the head. I'm deciding now that it is a shovel shape. So really we're still on step 3. Okay, step 4 would be to finish the top of the head. I think I'm getting my steps mixed up, to be honest with you. Let's go over it again. Step 1 was the penciled in head shape. That's exaggerated. Step 2, the T shape. Step 2B, line work. Step 3 was the mouth and the chin. So step 4, we're going to finish the head shape. And that's basically going to be the forehead, the hair, and the ears, and the neck. Step 5 for me is to finish out the hair and the beard, and I'm going to use the small end of my Tombow marker. I'll tell you what, another question people always ask me when I'm drawing them at events is, does your hand ever hurt after I'm sitting there drawing for 3 hours? And the answer is no, because I hold the marker loosely. You see that? I might accidentally drop this marker while I'm drawing. That is the way to make sure you never have carpal tunnel or pain in your hands. If you start getting nervous and gripping this marker like your life depended on it, then you are going to have all kinds of pain in your hands. Bonus step. I bet you didn't know I was going to do a bonus step, so here we go. And that is gray. I'm going to add some gray to it, just for fun. I don't do this all the time, but for this video it seems like fun. So this is gray, Tombow pen, the number is N75, just in case you want to know. And I just picked this at random. This is not like the marker I always use or anything like that. I had this marker out in my car because I was using it at a caricature hit and run event, which, I don't know, you might not even know what a hit and run event is. So usually at a caricature event, you set up your easel and you put some chairs out, people sit down, and you draw them as they sit down. But in a hit and run event, you use a clipboard. And then you sneak around the room when people ain't looking. You draw them from a corner where hopefully they don't see you, but sometimes they do. And then you walk up to them and say, hey, we're drawing people by surprise, and I did this drawing for you, and it's a cool souvenir. And you hand it to them, and then you quickly walk off and start drawing someone else. And that is a hit and run event, because that's what you're doing. You're hitting with your drawing and then running off to the next one. Okay, so basically, what am I shadowing? What am I shadowing? I forgot, don't know how to say that. Basically, I'm just looking at the photo and putting the shadows where I see them. And I've already decided I'm not going to shadow everything that I see in the photo. I'm just putting down a basic layer of shadows. His hair is gray, so I'm going to add some gray to his hair. And not every part of his hair, but if you look at the photo, you can see there's parts of his hair that are more shadowy than others. think that's got it. Okay, bonus step number 2. I bet you didn't know I was going to have yet another bonus step for you. And this bonus step is, actually it's only for the people that watch till the end of the video, so don't tell those people that clicked off the video early, okay? But the bonus step is to draw it again and try to improve it. I once took a course by Steven Silver. He is a character design teacher. And he said never be satisfied with just drawing something one time. Draw it over and over and over and over again. And since I started practicing like that, I have seen a lot of improvement in my art. And in this case, I'm actually turning his head a little bit to the left. And that is not in the photo. In the photo, he's looking straight forward. But I've actually used my imagination to think of his head as a three-dimensional shape, sort of turned it a little bit to the left in my imagination, and I'm drawing it now again and trying to improve it. So by doing that, that actually forces me to use my imagination and character design skills like I talked about in a previous video, and it's causing me to get better, but I do see where I can still improve on this, and so I'm going to draw it again, most likely. And so I'm going to end this video and get back to practicing, but until the next video, I hope you keep getting better at what you love to draw.